Would you believe me if I told you I'm being lit by a $10 desk lamp? Stick around to the end of the video and maybe you understand just enough about lighting to be able to do the same. Granted, it would look much worse like this if I didn't understand how light works. So what I had to do is shoot the lamp through a massive diffusion material. And when I say massive, I really mean massive. To guide you through this, let's call it a lighting 101 video, I'm gonna show you a few comparisons between different lights and the impact it has on the subject when you use each of them. I'll be using the $10 desk lamp and I'll be using the panels that I showcased on the other video you can see up here. Not now, don't click it now, the algorithm doesn't like when you leave. Watch this video first. Also subscribe, because the algorithm likes that. Oh, we made that on another video too. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna use the $10 desk lamp, I'm gonna use the $50 Neewer small panels, and I'm gonna use the $100 Dazzne D50 that I usually use anyway. We're also gonna use our buddy Chewbacca here, because he rules and we're that cool. This is what it looks like when we shine our $10 desk lamp on our buddy Chewie here. See how the shadows are super harsh? Yeah, tiny lights do that. And it's not about absolute size, it's about relative size, and that's why the sun is a massive light source, but it's so far away that it's relatively very small, and everything it lights will cast harder shadows, unless it's cloudy, because at that point the clouds act like a giant softbox. And that's also why the desk lamp casts even harder shadows on my face at the beginning of the video than it does on Chewbacca right now. Okay, let's see what happens when we turn on the Neewer small panel. It's a bit larger than the lamp, but it's still very small. It also has a terrible color accuracy, like I mentioned in the other video. I didn't even bother trying to color correct this in post-production because it's really not worth the trouble. And as you can see, the shadows look almost as bad as they look with the lamp, and it's a much more expensive panel, so it's definitely not worth the step up. Let's look at the Dazzne now. Now we're getting somewhere. See how the light wraps around Chewie and the shadows are much softer? Yeah, that's because the light is bigger. There's still some issues, and the main one is the fact that Chewie is wearing glasses, and that always makes things harder to position lighting. I didn't bother too much with that, so let's look past that and realize that in fact the shadows are much better looking now. Let's look at them side by side so you can have a direct comparison of how each one looks like. See the difference? Yeah, size matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay, so you're broke, you can't spend any money on big fancy lights, and to be fair, even the Dazzne are too small for video lights. They're way smaller than what good video lights are. But to get back on track, what should you do if you want good lighting but you can't afford lights? Since we already established that size matters, the only thing you need to do is turn your small lights into big lights, and that's probably way easier to do than you'd think. You can do that by simply moving the light source from the bulb itself to something that I happen to have right here, like this translucent piece of cloth. This particular one comes from an old softbox, but you can buy one like 2 meter by 2 meter, which is about 6 feet by 6 feet, for about $10 on Amazon. So it's not that expensive. Let's see what it does to our good old Chewbacca now. We're back on the desk lamp to see what it does. You're obviously gonna lose a bit of light, so you may need to compensate for it with the camera exposure. And the most important thing is we transferred the light source from the bulb itself to the diffusion material now, which is a much bigger source, and you guessed it, it's gonna soften the shadows and wrap around the subject more. Now if you want to go the extra mile and have a second lamp laying around, you can do something even fancier. You can add a kicker light, like I did here to good old Chewbacca. I used the Neewer panel actually because I don't have a second lamp, but the same principle applies. It really helps separating him from the background, although in this case there's already bright lights in the background, so it doesn't do that much, but if the background would be darker, it would help a ton with separation. But back to the diffusion material, that's exactly what I did with this lamp right here, which is the same lamp that's lighting Chewbacca, by the way. Except for my convenience, I'm actually using a big reflector I bought from Amazon for $30. It comes with a bunch of reflecting materials, but the frame itself comes with a diffusion material you can use to pass the light through it. There's even a version that comes with a blue and green material that can work as a green or blue screen you can use for chroma key, so it's pretty much worth it. So what do I hope that you learned today with this video? I do hope you learned that size actually matters. And if yours is not big enough, I do feel sorry for you. Lights, of course. Lights need to be big to cast softer shadows. Although there's a few situations when you can creatively use harsher shadows to make a point, to have a more moody lighting, but generally speaking, for a talking head you want softer and bigger lights. And as I showed you, it's pretty straightforward to do that without spending a massive amount of money. I did record this entire video with that $10 desk lamp and the big ass reflector, and although it's not perfect, it's definitely good enough for most use cases. If you indeed learned something from this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to keep up with new content. And if you didn't learn anything and you hated the video, just hit the dislike button and call it a day. Bye!